On September 16th at 7 a.m., Typhoon Bebinca, the 13th typhoon of this year, made landfall in Shanghai's Pudong Lingang area. It swept across the entire city from east to west, becoming the strongest typhoon to hit Shanghai directly since records began in 1949. The typhoon brought huge waves, fierce winds, and heavy rain, leaving destruction in its wake. Across Shanghai, heavy rain poured down, and strong winds caused trees along the streets to sway violently. Pedestrians could barely stand upright. Construction site fences were ripped off, utility poles and trees were uprooted, some roofs were torn apart, many billboards were blown away, and numerous cars were smashed. State media reported that more than 10,000 trees were either uprooted or broken. Mr. Du, a Shanghai resident, described the situation. There are some very severe areas in the city. At Renji Hospital, which is well known in Shanghai, a large section of the wall came off. The insulation layer fell off in large chunks. Power has been out for a long time in some places. Some cars were also crushed, and buildings had their aluminum alloy windows and floor-to-ceiling windows blown away. Glass was shattered. People have definitely died, but casualties won't be reported. By noon on September 16th, Bebinca had moved from Shanghai to Jiangsu province, with its maximum wind intensity weakening to level 13. The typhoon caused severe wind and rain in areas like Suzhou and Nantong. On the Sutong Bridge, located between Nantong and Suzhou, the cargo of a large truck was blown away. Several trucks were seen swaying in the wind, with some even tipping over. One red truck was swaying dangerously. The driver, while wearing a white t-shirt, got out and clung tightly to the vehicle, trying to prevent it from overturning. He shared his experience in an interview.
I was on the Sutong Bridge when the typhoon hit. My truck was swaying so badly that I had to get out. I held onto my truck, and then some other truck drivers helped shield me from the wind. There was also a woman in a smaller car who offered me shelter in her car. If I had driven another 100 or 200 meters, my truck might have flipped. I still can't shake off the fear, but I keep thinking of those people, the truck drivers and the lady driver. I really want to thank them.
Wherever the typhoon went, it left destruction. Residents in Suzhou, Wuxi, and Changzhou reported that the typhoon damaged many things, including signs and public facilities. Some areas experienced flooding, resulting in significant losses. Data from the Suzhou Meteorological Department and China Weather indicated that around 10 a.m. on the 16th, level 13 winds reached 37.5 meters per second. This was the highest wind speed recorded in Suzhou in recent years. Ms. Hong, a resident of Suzhou, said, "The typhoon caused severe damage. Trees were blown down, and the industrial park area became almost like a wasteland. Construction sites were completely blown down. Nearby fences were broken, traffic lights were out, and the ground was covered with branches." There were reports online that a food delivery driver in Shanghai was pinned down by a fallen tree, and in Suzhou, some delivery drivers were injured. Mr. Wang, a resident of Suzhou, mentioned that he rushed to Shanghai during the typhoon to care for his hospitalized grandson. The hospital was crowded, as the typhoon caused numerous injuries. Mr. Wang shared, "The typhoon was very dangerous. There were casualties. Many people died. I saw many trees fallen on the roads. The hospital is packed with people. A lot of them have fever and colds. My grandson had a fever of over 40 degrees, so he's in the hospital. I came here to see him, but there's no bed available, so we're staying in the hallway." During Typhoon Bebinca's impact, most areas in Wuxi, Jiangsu province, experienced rainfall, with the highest accumulated rainfall reaching 139.9 millimeters. Some areas had wind speeds of up to level 13, setting a record for the strongest winds. Videos show many large trees in Wuxi being uprooted by the typhoon. On the afternoon of the 16th, at 4 p.m., a large tree was uprooted in the Longshi Sunflower Garden in Wuxi. That evening in Huishan, Wuxi, the fierce wind and heavy rain caused a landslide, sending mud and rocks into a residential area and destroying many vehicles. Fortunately, there were no casualties. One video shows an elderly man in Wuxi standing up to check the rolling shutter door. Suddenly, due to the typhoon, the ceiling collapsed right where he had been sitting moments before, creating a very dangerous scene. Ms. Chen, a Wuxi resident, described the situation. "A lot of places here are flooded. Many trees were uprooted. There are power outages, water is cut off, and elevators are not working. We don't know when things will get better. This is the biggest typhoon in Wushi's history, with winds reaching levels 12 to 13. It's really frightening. On September 18th, heavy overnight rain in Xuzhou, Jiangsu, caused severe waterlogging on several roads. Mr. Li, a store owner in Xuzhou, said, "The water on the road is quite deep. The western area is flooded. There's water everywhere, and some debris have been washed away, causing damage to vehicles. Many cars are waterlogged and can't move, and rescue vehicles are towing them." On September 16th, Suzhou faced the full force of Typhoon Bebinca. Even Lake Yangcheng, known for its hairy crabs, was not spared. The lake's surface was rough with waves, and the nets used to farm crabs were blown down, allowing the crabs to escape en masse. This event caused significant losses to the local crab farming industry. Mr. Su, a crab farmer at Lake Yangcheng, said the typhoon had a severe impact on all the crab farmers in the area, with almost every farm having its nets blown down. Mr. Su, who farms 20 acres of crabs, approximately 5,000 pounds, said that in all his years of crab farming, he had never experienced such a severe natural disaster. Lake Yangcheng covers about 16,000 acres of crab farming area. After the typhoon, farmers rushed to repair the nets and clean up their farms. Typhoon Bebinca caused various disasters across Shanghai and Jiangsu, and it also exposed the substandard construction projects under the Chinese Communist Party's governance. At around 10 p.m. on September 16th, the typhoon's center reached Nanjing, Jiangsu, maintaining its intensity as a tropical storm. Mr. Xiao's greenhouse in Nanjing covered more than 10 acres and was set up about 2 years ago. He had planned to plant strawberries when the weather cooled down. However, after the typhoon passed last night, 7 to 8/10 of his greenhouse was damaged. The typhoon caused devastation in the entire village. On September 17th, a video surfaced online showing a tornado in Sihong County, Jiangsu. The sudden tornado in Xuzhou and Suqian drew widespread attention. Videos from the scene show that wherever the strong winds went, trees were uprooted, utility poles were blown down, and some makeshift houses were severely damaged. Roofs were lifted off, and debris scattered everywhere.
Around 5 p.m. on the 17th, at first it looked small, just swirling around behind us, but then it started sucking up the water, even pulling water from the river into the air. It lasted only about 10 minutes and was about 10 meters wide. But everywhere it passed, all the houses were destroyed, and even the high-voltage poles were knocked down. The house that was destroyed belongs to my cousin. All 5 of her tile-roofed houses were completely wrecked.
After the tornado struck Suqian City, many buildings were damaged, and debris was scattered everywhere. Vehicles were also affected. The local meteorological office suggested that the tornado might be related to Typhoon Bebinca. Apart from Xuzhou and Suqian, Typhoon Bebinca also impacted Changcheng Town in Lingang, Shandong Province. The tornado swept through on September 17th, ripping off roofs and snapping trees, creating a terrifying scene. Videos show a funnel-shaped cloud in the distance, lifting water from a nearby pond into the air. The wind was howling loudly in the background. The local meteorological bureau confirmed that this tornado occurred over the lake due to the influence of Typhoon Bebinca, but it didn't cause serious damage. Typhoon Bebinca penetrated inland, bringing rare heavy rains to Henan, Anhui, Jiangsu, and Shandong. In Xiao County, Anhui, the highest recorded rainfall reached 485.6 millimeters, marking the second largest heavy rain event in the county's history. Due to the typhoon's impact, continuous heavy rain fell in Xiao County, Suzhou, and Hui from September 17th to the 18th. Many urban and rural areas experienced significant waterlogging and varying degrees of flooding. On September 18th, multiple travelers posted videos showing that several roads around North Station in Suzhou and Hui were flooded. Trucks, semi-trailers, and bulldozers were repurposed as ferry vehicles to transport travelers outside the high-speed rail station. A woman holding an umbrella struggled to walk through more than a meter of water. She said, "The water level is up to my neck. All the cars around here are flooded." Overnight, heavy rain in Xiao County turned the area into a waterlogged basin, with 24-hour rainfall exceeding 200 millimeters in many places. The water level has risen above an adult's chest. Videos online show Xiao County's urban area severely flooded, resembling a vast ocean. Streets turned into raging streams, with many vehicles submerged, leaving only the rooftops visible. Some underground garages were flooded to the ceiling, likely resulting in heavy losses. Due to deep waterlogging on many roads, bus services in Xiaoshen's urban and rural areas were suspended from 5 a.m. on the 18th, and all schools in the county were closed. A video shared online stated, "It rained all night on the 17th, and it's still raining this morning. There's almost no way to get home." At around 3 a.m. on September 18th, the official local weather Weibo account issued a red alert for heavy rain. Mr. Li, who runs a shop on the Xiaoshen Outer Ring Road, saw serious flooding near his store early on the 18th. He said, "It rained heavily all night without stopping. My shop is near the river, and the river water has overflowed. The floodwater has already submerged the roof of my car." His shop is on higher ground, so water did not enter, but the water on the road beside his shop was 40 centimeters deep. He added, "In lower-lying areas, the water is more than 1 meter deep." A clothing store owner on West Traffic Road in Xiaoshen told a media outlet, "The water on the road is very deep, and the current is strong. Driving is impossible. Shops along the street are mostly flooded, and the clothes inside are floating." Typhoon Bebinca continued to move westward, inland. After causing record-breaking rain in Xiaoshen, it headed straight for Henan. According to the Henan Meteorological Bureau, from 7 a.m. on the 17th to 7 a.m. on the 18th, torrential rain occurred in Shangqiu, Henan. Eastern Zhoukou and parts of Pudong also experienced heavy rain. In Shangqiu, Henan, the heavy rain submerged villages and flooded crops. On the morning of the 18th, Ms. Guo, who runs a children's shoe store in Shangqiu, described what happened. Around 4 p.m. on the 17th, "I was working inside the store, and my son was playing nearby. Suddenly, I looked up and saw that the sky outside had turned pitch black. I thought it was already evening, but it had already been a few minutes." Ms. Guo added, "I'm a local in Shangqiu, and I've never seen anything like this before. It was also my son's first time experiencing such a scene. He was shocked, shouting, 'Mom, why is it so dark? What time is it now? How could this happen? Is it a typhoon?' He immediately ran to the door to look outside. Then the torrential rain began. It was really frightening." Ms. Guo continued, "It rained heavily all night and hasn't stopped yet. Most of the roads are flooded. The main roads with better drainage are in a relatively better condition, but the alleys are hard to navigate. In areas where the water is deep, it's over the calves. People are walking outside in slippers, wading through the water." On the 17th, due to the typhoon, Shangqiu and Zhoukou in Henan experienced continuous rain, making it impossible for people to enjoy the Mid-Autumn Festival. Mr. Zhang, a restaurant owner in Shayi County, Xiangqiu, said, "How can you watch the moon tonight? It's not possible. The county is flooded. Although the rain wasn't extremely heavy, it never stopped. Water entered my home. It started with a light rain around midnight. In about 20 minutes, the place was flooded, probably due to poor drainage. I called my family back in the village. The embankment was flooded. The corn was completely washed away in the previous rain." After Typhoon Bebinca made landfall in Shanghai, it moved northwest. On September 17th, it reached Anhui and approached Henan. The wind weakened but brought heavy rain, leading to waterlogging in rural Wuxi, Suhong County in Jiangsu, Suyin County in Shuzhou, and Jiayi County in Shangqiu, Henan. Many houses and vehicles were submerged. According to a report by the Henan Business Daily, to prevent and respond to the extreme weather brought by Typhoon Bebinca, Kaifeng and Xinxiang in Henan issued notices announcing the closure of local primary and secondary schools and kindergartens for one day on the 18th. During this Mid-Autumn Festival holiday, the main topic for the people in Yongcheng was the typhoon. After the assault of Bebinca, another typhoon, Pulasan, was expected to arrive. Although Pulasan is not expected to be very strong, its rainfall could be significant. Recently, floods in many parts of China, followed by 2 consecutive typhoons, have led to numerous losses in families and property. Disaster victims felt deep sorrow during the Mid-Autumn Festival, many lamenting the lack of aid and the difficulty of their lives.